Welcome. Spirit, soul, body. We often get them confused, particularly the spirit and the soul. I think we're all pretty much decided on what the body is, if it's temporary or not. You know the answer to that one. But when it comes to spirit and the soul, there is often a misconception. So in this live stream today, and welcome to you from all around the world, let me know in the comments section where you are joining from, whether you are watching live or the replay, it doesn't matter. You're welcome to engage. If you don't subscribe to this channel and it resonates, you can click the notification bell and you're going to be notified by YouTube of any future video, podcast that is released on this channel. I'm going to turn my camera off now and I'm going to get into teaching mode. So I invite you to listen. You might be driving, you might be sitting down. Listen to the words, receive them. And I want to begin by saying this. You are a spirit. You have a soul. And you live in a physical vessel, a body. And I want to welcome people from around the world that are joining the live stream. I wanted to do the main teaching part as audio only. That's why I turned off my camera, because it's important that you really listen to the words. Sometimes watching a video can be distracting. From what I gather anyway, even from my own personal habits with YouTube, most people just listen anyway. And that's what I want to invite you into, is just listen to the words. You might be on the go, you might be driving, you might be somewhere in your home or out and about. That's why I've worked so much on my audio quality this year, so that you can hear me clearly. All right. You don't have to believe everything today. In fact, I always encourage critical thinking. Say that after me, critical thinking. There are many different voices online, information sources, belief systems, structures. And we need to come to our own conclusions. We get there by asking lots of questions. I encourage your questions in the chat. And even if you are watching or listening to the replay and you have a question that arises, I want to address any questions that you have, and I'll get there in the replay after this is posted on YouTube. You don't have to believe everything. You don't have to understand it all. Just let your heart be open. This space is not religion. It's remembering. Now, those that are familiar with my work will know that I have a retreat in Maui by that very title, Remembering Who You Are. And the reason I say remembering, your spirit, the eternal aspect of who you are, the divine spark, knows beyond the soul, the body. That is why I say remembering, because it's remembering at the deepest level of who you are, which is spirit. Some call it energy, alignment. I like to say, and my podcast has this title, presence. I'd been on a journey this year, specifically, of really awakening. It began in Maui when I was running a retreat earlier this year. Many of us in the metaphysical community have spoken a lot about the concept of awakening. And for me, that is the experience I've been going through at a very deep level. I've been going through a shuffling process of discardment of old ideas, beliefs that no longer served, because my heart's cry, the song of my spirit, was, I want truth. I've scaled back my sharing online. I've scaled back my YouTube channel because I'm committed to this, is that I only want to share what I have come to know as truth. When it comes to understanding the soul, the spirit, the body, I think we're all in agreement with the body. I think that's where we find a universal understanding. There is a lot of misconception. Even I taught it through lack of knowledge. Say that after me, lack of knowledge about the difference between the soul and the spirit. We often use the terms in the same breath, not understanding the difference. The reason that I want to clarify this, and later to this live stream, I'm in preparation to doing a live Zoom session at a later date, where as a group we'll be going through this teaching, because it makes all the difference. Now, many teach that the soul is on an ever-ending conquest, an ever-ending journey. And though there are aspects of that that are true, what I want to do with you today is bring clarity where there's been mixture and confusion. Because when you experience truth, that truth is a liberating force. It frees you from a state of confusion and brings you into the light and clarity. So what is the spirit? What is that aspect of who you are? It's the innermost part of you, the core. You might even want to call it the quiet core. It is where deep knowing, what many of us call intuition, and peace originate. It's the part of you that feels closest to something eternal, even when we don't know how to name it. Have you ever felt something deeper than emotion? A knowing that didn't come from your mind. A peace that didn't come from reason. maybe in nature, in deep moments of stillness, even in grief, or in love, being in love, experience being touched by love. It bypasses language, articulation. It's wordless. It's anchored. It's beyond logic. And this, I would suggest, is your spirit. The spirit is the deepest part of you. It's not your emotions. It's not your thoughts. It's deeper. It is the true you that existed before fear, performance, identity labels, and all the confusion that labels can bring. I am this, I am that. Now, you've probably already, if you've walked this path of, for many of us, we call it metaphysics or the spiritual path, we've called it intuition, inner knowing, higher self. That still point. Your spirit is the seat of peace, discernment, and identity. When your spirit is leading, and this is where we often misalign, because the soul ends up often leading the mind, your will, your desire. But when your spirit is leading, you feel aligned. You don't have to perform or panic. You know who you are, even when you can't explain it. And your spirit, the eternal part of you, it connects you to the eternal. It's the antenna, if you like, that reaches beyond space and time. It longs for meaning, for communion, for truth, not just information. Now, maybe you can let me know in the comment section who has been longing and searching for truth, who has trying to fill that aspect of themselves with people, places, things. For some that have struggled, wrestled with addiction, it might be to try to fill the void through a substance or eating to make you feel content. But who has come to realize that that void hasn't been filled or sustained by anything external? It is like you're trying to fill something and you never feel full. So you keep searching, or you keep in the loop of addiction only to eventually have that thing turn on you, and then you're in trouble. Now, many of us have walked that path. Many of us have found spirituality through the process of pain or addiction. Now, I've had many I've worked with over the years and even had personal, intimate relations with that have struggled with addiction. There are many step programs that step people through this process. And at its core, it's always the divine that is the aspect beyond oneself that has the liberation. that offers the solution, that helps one move from a place of dependency and addiction to freedom and liberation. When your spirit is alive, say alive. When your spirit is alive and leading, you walk in clarity. You walk in the light. You're not ruled by your emotions or stuck in your thoughts. You feel centered, clear, held. Don't we want that? Don't we want to feel held by something more than ourselves? Now, the times we're living in is we've become our own gods, haven't we? We've exalted ourselves. And I call it the spirit of the age. I don't think people do it because they're bad or evil. I think they do it because they're misguided. And we've all walked that road, right? We've all been misguided. We all have searched for truth in perhaps like external things, people, places. When I go on that trip, I'll feel fulfilled. And of course, you get to the location that may be somewhere like Hawaii where it feels like a paradise, and you get there and it's blissful. And then the bad weather comes. And sooner or later you realize that the paradise that was promised doesn't suffice. So then you go looking for the next experience, the next trip, and you just end up hitting a wall of disappointment continually. Now, this is the very human condition, isn't it? Now, what is the soul? So that is a good introduction to what the spirit is. Now, say that again with me. I am a spirit. Now, if you are a spirit and there's a difference between the spirit and the soul, then what is the soul? Because many of us have thought, well, aren't they the same thing? Let me explain what the soul is. The soul is your mind, your thoughts, your conscience, your will, and your emotions. It also has your freedom to choose. It's where your thoughts happen. It's where you feel. It's where you react. It's where you crave, replay. Oh, so many of us get caught in the narrative of the mind, the replaying of life, the projection into the future by thinking, or the reflection into the past, where we replay life's events. The soul is what drives your decisions when you're unsure who's really in charge. The soul is the storyteller. It crafts the narratives. I'm not good enough. They don't like me. What if it doesn't happen the way I want it to? What if I fail? It's not malicious. It's just trying to make sense of the world and keep you safe. So this is what the analytical or conscious aspect is trying to do. It's not malicious, just trying to keep you safe. Now, when we understand things like neuroplasticity, we understand this process that plays out. Your mind, by the age of about, give or take 35, it hardwires, it solidifies, and predictable neural pathways line up in your brain that you will almost like a program on a computer or a device. It will predictively play out, all those neural pathways will light up and you'll have that same experience. That's why life seems to be on repeat. And welcome to you from India. You're the first one that has engaged. Welcome. And yes, this is live. This is not a replayed live. So I want to greet some of you and answer some of your questions. So I'm looking at the chat now. If you are listening, why don't you say hello? Why don't you engage? Why don't you even just let me know where you're joining from? And if you don't subscribe to this channel and have the notification bell clicked and it's resonating and you want to know more, why don't you do that now and subscribe, hit the notification. It means anytime I do any of these teachings, which I plan to do much more of because I'm in teaching mode, then you'll be notified. The soul is not your enemy. And here's the caveat. Here is where we get it wrong. Because what we've done with the soul is we've made it our leader. But the soul is not meant to be the leader. When your soul, for many of us, the soul is leading the mind, the will, the emotions. When it does lead, that's when you feel exhausted, tossed by the waves of life, tossed by your emotions. You become reactive through that process of neuroplasticity, reactive automatically based on your past experience. You become indecisive. I can't decide what I'm going to do. But when your soul follows the Spirit, it becomes powerful. It becomes creative. It becomes emotionally balanced, and it begins to become wise. And when it's yielded to the Spirit, that's when healing happens in the soul. The old wounds, the limiting beliefs, the emotional habits, that's where they're held. And that is when they become transformed when the Spirit leads. Now, do we have any questions? Do we keep being born again and again? And I'm answering this question. I'm reading it before I answer it. When does the cycle of birth and death continue? Well, your soul is, when yielded to your Spirit, eternal. Your spirit, which originates from the divine, it's the very divine spark. You become a divine spark when you enter this reality, but yet you existed beyond it. But does the Spirit need to be born? Is that question over and over again? No, only once. But here's the challenge for us. We need to work on the soul. Or really a better way put is, once your spirit is alive, your soul then needs to yield, say that with me, yield to your spirit and come into what I would call the divine blueprint or alignment, the way it's meant to. See, most people are stuck in the level of the soul. And they try a course and they get a little bit of relief, and then they're back to this point. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to fill a void that can't be filled with the soul. This is why when the soul is yielded to your spirit, you begin to walk in power. You begin to walk in discernment, because you're awake and aware and you're activated. Now, nobody can do it for you. That is why we often want to hand over authority to others, because we feel our own failing, we feel our own hunger, and we reach out to somebody hoping that they'll fix us. We do that course, we do the meditation course, we do a regression session, we go to a healing session, hoping that another will do the work only we can do. So we're encouraged to rewire or to renew the mind daily. This is the very human condition. But we live in an age of so many variables and different voices, different narratives, different paths, and we often feel paralysis by analysis because we feel overwhelmed. We don't know which one to take. And when you begin to yield to the Spirit, that's where you find the liberation. And this is a much more in-depth teaching, because when I do the live Zoom session, I'm going to be able to get into much more detail about how that works. But in the meantime, why don't I invite you to ask any questions? Even if you're watching the replay, I want to answer them. So we're in agreement to what the body is. The body is temporal. The body houses your spirit and your soul. And eventually it will decay. So I won't get too much into the body. I will say, though, your body is not an accident. It's beautifully designed, from your cellular memory to your nervous system to breath. The body also holds trauma and joy. It tells the truth even when your words don't. Who knows that the body has a language? It communicates through what we would perceive as illness. There's often a deep message from the soul and spirit through your body. If your soul is anxious, your body tenses. And if your spirit is calm, your body settles. Now, your body is a sacred vessel. Say that after me, sacred vessel. Not a burden, not a mistake. It's meant to carry what your spirit knows and your soul expresses. Now, the body works best in its optimal state when it's aligned and yielded to the Spirit. When your spirit leads, your soul is at peace. And your body responds. Your breath deepens. Your body rests. Your sleep is better. You don't fight yourself. Now, before I finish this live stream, I want to play a short video. There comes a moment
in every soul's journey. When the heart whispers, it is time. Time to awaken. Time to remember who you are. Time to step beyond fear and into the divine truth of your being. If you have felt the stirring, the longing for something more, the knowing deep inside that you are meant for something greater, then this is your sign. This is your invitation. Come to Maui. Come home to your soul. Maui is not just an island, it is a portal, a sacred land where the veil between the seen and unseen are thin, where the heartbeat of Mother Gaia pulses through the earth, calling those who are ready to rise. This retreat is more than a gathering. It's a soul awakening, a rebirth. Through sacred energy work, healing breath, ancient wisdom, and deep communication with spirit, you will shed the old stories, the burdens that you were never meant to carry, and step into the truth of who you are. You will be guided, you will be held, you will be seen. You were led here for a reason. Your soul already knows the path. The only question is, will you answer the call? If you are hearing these words, this moment is no accident. The divine has orchestrated this very instant to reach you, to remind you of the light that you carry, to invite you to step forward, to claim your power, to receive the healing and transformation that has always been yours. This is not just a retreat, it's a homecoming. The doorway is open. The invitation is before you, but only you can step through it. Will you answer? Will you say yes to your awakening? Will you trust the knowing inside of you? Join us in Maui. The sacred land is calling you home. Your journey begins now.
And that's an invitation to all of you that feels the call, feels that they are ready to awaken. Now, although Maui will have the backdrop of paradise, the paradise doesn't come from the island, although that certainly helps. It comes from the divine. I'm going to be sharing much more about spirit, the soul, the body, and I'll also be posting here in the community section more information about the upcoming live workshop that will be happening on Zoom. I'd love for you to be a part of that with me. I don't see any questions here on the live, but if you want to ask in the replay, if you're joining in the replay, please engage with this. Please like, share it if it resonates, and I'll see you next time I do a live stream here on YouTube.